Hi, my name is Matthew Ebert. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a Fletcher Pilates teacher based in San Francisco, California. And today we're going to be doing an introduction to one of my personal favorite extensions to the Fletcher Pilates lineage, the Floorwork. So the Floorwork is a really great alternative to your mat work. And what I really love about it is that all you really need is somewhere big and spacious to move about. It focuses on the hips, both on pelvic alignment as well as range of motion. We're able to get in all of our spinal mechanics as well as a full body workout. And a lot of people tend to shy away from it because it has a very fancy dancy approach to it. So we're going to start with some dance terminology. I'm going to go over one or two dance things. Then we'll do some standing and centering, and then we'll come down and mount the floor, and we'll do the floor work. So a couple things before we begin. Number one, I just want to talk about our floors. So when Ron learned this work, this is part of the Graham floor work, he did it in a dance studio. And with our dance studio floors, they are sprung so they're able to take this impact that we have from jumping. So it's a nice soft landing. So you'll notice that as you walk through your gym, your kitchen, your homes, the Pilates studios, and etc., the floors are going to be a little bit different. So if you would like to do this with a little bit more padding, please, by all means, you can take your mats, fold them up nice and tight, or get a little smaller cushion. Those work just as well. We don't like to use the big mats because they're very cumbersome to move about on our floors while we switch our positions, as well as the fact that we may get stuck on them as well. So hopefully over time, our cushions get smaller and smaller and thinner. And some great alternatives to some of these cushions, you can use a bath towel or a kitchen towel, or even just a sweater to help slide along your floor, if you notice that's what's happening as well. I'm going to be doing this on a carpeted area in my living room on a carpet. And then also similarly, especially for my men, we want to be wearing something supportive so that we're able to freely move about the hips. It's going to be some tight positions here, especially for the hips. And then I've just noticed that as I was doing this work, that with some of the fabrics, some of the joggers and etc., the fabrics don't have a lot of give and a lot of stretch to them. So that also will prevent you from moving freely about the hips. So make sure whatever you're moving or wherever you're wearing, you're able to move freely about the hips with. All right, and now let's go over some dance terminology. I'm going to start with the arms, and then I'm going to do one or two leg thingies. Okay, very scientific, I know. Okay, stand with the legs all the way together, and now let's just swing the arms up and down. And again, without any thought or care in the world. Just allow gravity to swing the arms up and back. And now try to find one long line from the shoulder all the way out through the fingers, and hopefully you're able to feel the back muscles engage as you move the arms. And now let's just lower the hands down in front of the chest to stay holding it here. And now we want a nice big open chest with the shoulders down the back, and then just take a slight bend at the elbows and hold this position here. So we're creating a scooped position similar to our hug a tree from our equipment classes. Also similar to the gym where you see some of the versions of flies with the weights, either with cables and etc. Right, here's our real delt, here's our chest fly, right? So it's that same scoop position here in front of the chest. So we want the elbows, the eyelids to be reaching wide to the sides of the room. Fingertips are drawn together, not touching. And there's a couple different ways that I like to have my hands here. So I was taught within my dance training that if you smush this balloon, right, because that's the nice big circle, your fourth finger is going to come to about belly button-ish height, and then you just reach the arms out in front. So I like to have my hands here. You also can have the arms and the hands in line with your sternum. You don't want the hands to get too high, so that's in line with the shoulders, if not higher. This is going to take the work into your shoulders and a little higher on the back. So if you notice this is happening for you, and your arms are also going to get tired quicker. So if you notice this happening with you, just lower the hands down a little further so that you're able to feel those muscles along the back. So the back really just wraps around to create this big scooped circular position. And now from simply, we're just going to move our scoop position. Let's start here. We're going to lift it up and lower it down. And again, up and down. And just feeling those back muscles as you lift and lower. Right, so here's our first one, and hopefully we can still see our hands. And let's do one more. Now lower it back in front of the chest, open and close. And we haven't changed our scoop position here, right? It's still the same thing, just a different plane of motion that we're working with. Now we're doing out to the side. Now let's do a couple switches. We'll go up and down. One arm up, one arm down. Switch, switch, switch. I'm going to stay in front of my thighs. I noticed that I started moving to the outside. And last one. And now one arm opens to the side. Switch, switch, switch. One more each side. And now this time one arm up, one arm up, one arm to the side. Switch, switch, right? Same scoop position, different areas, right? We can add circles here, similar to what we do in our equipment classes, right? So that nice scoop position is a slight bend of the elbow with the fingers together. So with the hands in front of the chest, we call this first position. When we lift it up overhead, it's known as fifth. And then when we have the arms out to the side, it's also known as second. So in our second position, I'm just going to hold it here. We want the fingertips and the elbows to be in front of the shoulders, right? So that you're still able to hold the arms from your back. Those are the only three arms that we really need to know. And now let's talk about turnout and some of our foot positions. There's not too many. I'm just going to focus on two turned out positions. So number one, stand up nice and tall, arms down by your side, lift all 10 toes, come to a turned out position, hold it here, look down at your feet. So a couple things. Number one, make sure it's an even turnout from right to left at your hip, knee, and ankle. And this is the part where we're a little bit different than some of the other Pilates lineages. So you will often hear of this turned out position, but it's a very strict, very narrow V or pizza slice, right? And so if you really think about it in terms of the hip sockets, we want to be able to work a fuller range of motion within the hips, which also means our rotation. So now we're external, one more time, externally, there we go, rotating the legs out into our what's called first position, right? And we still want to think about that same structure through the body from the feet all the way up through the head, right? So we're able to work this range of motion and we're not just sinking down into the floor somewhere, right? And then we're just going to open the legs out to a V, also known as second. And again, look down at your feet, make sure it's an even turnout, right to left, hip, knee, and ankle. And then we can go a little bit wider into our straddle. It's also still a second position, right? Those are the only two that we really need to know about, right? It's going to feel like a bigger, fuller range than probably what you're used to with some other styles. And then we're focusing predominantly on the hips. So let's find our pelvic alignment together. So from here, we're going to stand in an open parallel, hip distance apart. And let's just start tilting the hips up and down. So you can have your hands on your hips. You can place one to the front, one to the back. So my front fist is going to come to my pubic bone. The other is going to come to my sacrum. And then just take a slight bend of the knees. And we're going to arch and curl. And again, arch and curl. And just feeling what this does to the spine as well as the sits bones here. So sits bones reach back to the wall behind you, forward to the front. For me, that's my TV. And you're trying to find this lengthened position in between where your pubic bone is going to be in line with your sacrum. And let's do one more like this. Arch and curl. I think this is also called tail wagging. And then lower down, find that lengthened position from front to back. Place your hands onto your hips. And now let's sink down to the floor and lift up. Other side. One hip lowers, the other lifts and center, right? Same thing here with the sits bones. So if you look at that line between right and left, one is going down to the floor, the other one's a little higher up, and we're trying to find that lengthened position through center. And let's just do one more on each side, just feeling where that placement is for you and your body. Last one. And now let's just shimmy the hips front and back. So one is going to face forward, the other back and center. Other side. Rotate the hips and center, right? So you should be able to feel that bony part of your hip. One is coming a little bit more forward than the other. And again, you're finding that lengthened center position from right to left. So one hip isn't turning past the other. Let's do one more on each side. And last one like this. And then coming back to center, feeling that from right to left, it's even. One hip isn't sinking and hiking up higher than the other. The low back is long here. Tailbone down to the floor. And let's lengthen the legs all the way up. So we're going to take this position of the pelvis, and we want to be seated on top of it. So we're going to start with very stable positions, and then we're going to move around the room. So I believe I have enough space. I don't have to change my camera angle. I should be okay. I may bump into some furniture, so we'll see how it goes. All right, now from here, let's stand up nice and tall. I'm going to turn I'll start here. Yep. Okay. So standing up nice and tall, thinking about that pelvic alignment that you just found, right? Square off the hips. Organize the bolts. And let's lift the arms up and press tall. And again, lift and press. Let's do two more like this. 2 and press. One more and press. Take a bend of the knees, reach the arms forward and stand up tall. And again, plie and stand up tall. So inner plie, we're bending at our hip, knee, and ankle, and we're trying to lengthen the legs all the way up through the low belly. I'm going to turn profile so you can see me. So again, hips stay over the heels, tailbone down to the floor. So we're not shifting the weight back like we do in a squat. Not today, at least. And let's do 2 more like this. 2 and up. 1 more. Into the plie to stay. Holding it here, we're going to pulse down. Deepen the folds within the leg. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place the hands onto your hips and lengthen the legs all the way up. Let's lift all 10 toes and lower down. And again, from the pinky side, up and down. 4 more. 4 and 3. 2 more. And last one, lift all 10 toes. And then keep the toes lifted. We're going to find our turned out position and come back to center. And I'm just looking down at my feet. Turn out and center. Let's do 4 more. 4. Feeling that turn of the hips at the hip socket as you rotate and parallel. 2 more. Last one to turn out, lower the toes down to stay. And now again, in our turned out position, if you're a little bow-backed, that's not right, bow-legged like I am, draw the legs and heels a little closer together, right? You have to think about pulling up through the low belly and our top magnet a little bit more. If you're knock knee, there's going to be a little bit of space. Okay. And now from here, we're going to shift the hips over to one side and come up to center. Other side, little side bend and up. So as you shift the hips, you want to keep even weight across the feet as you go over and up. Let's do 2 more on each side. 2, excuse me, and up. 1 more on each side. This time coming over to stay holding it here. Let's pulse the hip. Reach the hip wide to the side. Last set. Lifting up and switch to pulse. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And coming up to center. And just find that scoop position with the arms in front. We're going to take a plie again and stand up nice and tall. Doesn't this look familiar? And again, plie and lengthen up, right? Makes it feel like you want to get the tutu and the tights out, right? Here's my ballet bar. And let's do 2 more. Think of the knees reaching wide to the sides of the room, not front out to the wall. So I'm going to turn so you can see me coming into the plie to stay, holding it here. And now let's increase the turn out from the hips and release. Reach the knees to the side and release. Couple more. Let's do 3. For 3, 2 more, feeling that turn at the hips again. Last 1, holding it here, pulse out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deepen the plie and circle the arms up and all the way around. And again, plie and circle. 3 more, just keep in the scoop position as you circle around. 2 more. And 1 more. And then just open the feet out to that wide second position. All right. And now from here, reach the arms out to a T. We're going to bend one knee and come up to center. Other side to the lunge, press up tall. Excuse me. Let's do 2 more on each side. So again, the hips glide across. We're not sinking anywhere, moving the hips. The torso moves because we're bending and straightening the leg. Last one like this. And now let's take a rotation. Twist to one side. Whoops. Come back to center. I'm going to get a little further so I don't touch my furniture. And center. I'm going to take a half breath for this for today. Last one like this. And now we're going to add the 2 together. Arms can stay here. You can place your hands onto your shoulders or across, or they can come onto your hips. And now we're going to twist to one leg, to the lunge, and we come forward through center, over to the other side. Lunge and center. So it's almost like you're making a figure 8 with the body as you come through a lunge and twist. So forward on the diagonal, center. Diagonal forward, center. 2 more on each side, moving nice and slow. And again, just feeling the rotation of the hips, keeping the sit bones parallel to the floor. One more on each side. If I'm counting correctly, probably not. And let's slide the hands up. We're going to lower them down, open out into a plie in second. And again, hands slide up, down and out. And again, we want the knees to reach to the sides of the room. For two more. Two. One more. Now let's deepen the plie. Try to come a little further down, what we may say a grand plie. And then pass through the plie all the way back up to center. Let's do that a couple times. You can keep the arms out here. Place your hands onto your hips. I'll leave that up to you. So we're going to come down, find your plie, deepen the folds within the leg, return back to that plie, and then we come all the way up. So two to go down, kind of like an elevator, right? We come all the way down to the basement, and then we come all the way up, top floor. And here we go, down, all the way down, press up, all the way up. Let's do two more like this. One more. This time we're going to come all the way down to stay, and then just place the hands down onto the floor. And then let's lift the hips up and hold it here. Okay, and we're going to come down. Knees reach right to the side, hips round the spine down. Lengthen the legs, hips lift up. So we stretch the low back and the inner thighs. Stretch the legs. Four more. 4. 3. 2 more. 1 more. I'm a little tight, I can feel it. And now from here we're going to take a roll up through the hips, stack the spine, and stand up tall. Bend one knee from our lunge, push back to first position, and lift all 10 toes, and come back to parallel. Okay, so with this next thing, this should take us down onto our floors. Can it be forward? Yeah, okay. I'm going to be here, there's a little bit more room. Okay, hopefully you can still see my whole body here. Yeah, okay. All right, now we're gonna lift the arms up in line with the ears, flip the palms down, take a roll down. Keep the hips over the feet as you come all the way down, and we try to palm the floor. So again, if you're tight, you're gonna have a slight bend at the knees. And now let's walk the hands out, right, left, into the upstretch position or downward facing dog. And then just hold this position here. We want one long line of the spine, hips pointed up to the ceiling. So your heels may or may not touch the floor. That's okay. Let's take a bend of the knees and lengthen the legs. And again, little plie and stretch. And keep thinking of the hands pushing you back to keep the hips up. Let's do 2 more like this. Plie. And last one like this. And now let's lift the heels up. All the way up and down. Press releve. reach the heel, or calf raise, I should say. So as you lift up, deepen the fold within the little hip, open. As you lower down. Let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2 more. Last one, lifting the heels up, bend the knees, come down into a quadruped position, untuck the toes, and sit back into a rest position. And you can open the knees out if you want for this. And then just breathe into your back here. Deep breath in and out. 2 more breaths. Last breath. And now roll up, sit off to one side, and come to a seated position. Okay, so we're gonna find our seated diamond position. So we're gonna hold this position quite a lot. So number 1, when we come down onto the floor, what I see happen a lot is that everybody wants to be in this butterfly froggy position, right? And it's really, the heels are really close in towards the sits bones, and we're not able to sit up on top of the pelvis. So in our diamond position, we want even weight across the hips. So just lift one hip up and lower it down, right? Kind of similar to what we did earlier. Hike one hip up, lower it down. You should be able to feel something protruding into your floor here, right? That's your sits bone. And then you come to center and find even weight across both, right? So you're seated right on top of the hips, on top of the sits bones, on top of the pelvis. So sometimes I like to be a little further forward. You may be a little further back, right behind the sits bones. So really find that position where you have even weight across both. And now I'm going to go back to the legs. So in our diamond position, it's the length of your forearm. So the legs are going to be a little further away. Should you need to measure, this should fit neatly between your hips and your heels here, right? And we want the soles of the feet to be pressing in together and down to the floor. So especially if you're hypermobile, or some of my dancers out there, wherever you are, the knees tend to sink down towards the floor, and I've lost that press through the feet. So feet in together. This is going to work the inner line of the legs. You can already see this has lifted my knees up a significant amount, right? So in together, down to the floor as well. All right, and we're always trying to lift up out of our floors, right? Length, longer, taller. That's the goal. All right, this is the position. We're going to hold it for a fair amount, and we're going to challenge how long we can hold it here. So if you notice that it is a lot of work to be in this seated position for an extended amount of time, right? Just rock side to side, shake out the hips, and come back into it wherever we are. Okay, so here we go. In a diamond position, and arms lift up and open out to a low V, right? So one long line in line with the shoulders. And now from here, very simply, we lift the arms up to the high V, flip the palms, press down, flip, lift, flip, press, flip. Two more like this, and again, just growing taller out of our floors. One more like this, and let's add some breath. 2 to go up. Inhale, exhale, and 2 up and 2 down. Let's try 3. So up, 4, 3, down, 4, 3. 2 more like this. Last one. Lift the arms up, scoop the arms, and they're just going to come right in front of your knees to a hovered position. And now, similar to what we just did standing, lift one arm up and lower down. Other side to the high fifth and lower. I can say that term because you know it now, I hope. So, hand comes over the crown of the head. And let's do one more on each side. And last one like this. And now we add on. Arm lifts up, opens out, hold it here. So when we come to this position, we want the fingertipsies in line with the shoulders. If it's too high, you're gonna feel that work again in the upper back and the shoulders. If it's too far down, we're gonna lose the connection into our back. So hands, fingertips in line with the shoulders. We lift up, lower down. Other side. Lift, open, lift, lower. Up, open, up, down. One more on each side. Maintain an even weight across the sits bones, lifting up out of the floor. Last one like this. And let's add a focus. Look at your hand as it lifts up, opens, lifts, lowers. Really see something on the palm of your hand, something interesting, I hope. Maybe food. Who cares? Right? But you want this relationship to your hand. And it's just the head and the neck. Spine and hips stay stable. And up, down, last one like this. And now guess what? We're gonna add both arms to the mix and lift, look up to the ceiling and lengthen up, lower down. And again, the head follows the hands, up and open, lengthen, lower. Two more. One more. This time to place the hands onto the knees to stay holding it here. And I'm going to turn. What am I doing? I'm going to turn this way. Okay. And so, seated roll down. Here we go. One breath for each sections. Start with the head, the upper back, the mid back, the low back. Hands slide down onto the ankles, come all the way over to stay, holding it here. And again, we're lifting up out of our floor. A nice even curve from the hips all the way out through the crown of the head. And then we roll the spine up, hands slide up to the knees. And we roll down. Start with the top, the head, mid back, low back, all the way over. And then start with the base, roll up, all the way up. Let's do one more like this. And you can also think of peeling the spine forward like you're seated in front of a wall, similar to our spine stretch. And we stack the spine, come up to center. And this one more, I lied. We're going to come over, finding that even curve to stay, holding it here. Arms are going to lift up to that fifth position, fingertips in line with the crown of the head. And now from here, we're going to shift the weight back, shift forward over our thighs. So we turn the hips back, turn the hips forward. So you should feel this pull from the hips. Let's do 4 more. 4, this should be fun. Hands are going to stay in that same plane, so they're going to come down to your chest here. 3, right? You can also look at it as a 90-degree angle at your armpit. 2 more. Last one. And that's the beginning of our roll down. So from here, pull back, holding it here. Now we're going to continue going back to place the hips down. Then we roll down through the spine to the tips of the shoulder blades and what we may call an upper contraction. And arms lift up in line with the ears. Stretch all the way out long to the floor. We made it down to the floor. Now we got to get up. And we circle the arms wide to the side. They scoop back to that wide second. And then you peel up. Start with the head, the upper back, the mid back, the low back. And then the hips take you over the legs. And there's our first roll up from the floor work. Right. Kind of similar to the mat, a little bit different. And here we go. Let's do this together. Hips turn to pull back. We place the hips down. Try not to let them curl. Oops. Then we roll down through the spine to the shoulder blades. Arms lift, lower down. Arms circle wide. And we want to keep them in this wide second position. Really challenge the abdominals to peel the spine up. And then hips take you over the legs. And again, roll back. Now I'm going to do some previous progressions that you can do. So if you notice that you're struggling with this as you come up, there's a couple different options we can do. As we circle the arms around, you can place the hands onto the floor. Really think of the abdominals doing the majority of the work to take you over. Your other option is you place the hands on the backs of your legs, and you use the arms this way to help peel you forward. And then if you can do it, right, you can have the arms a little bit more narrow. The arms will come with you as you go forward, right? If you need a little bit of assistance, especially when we're first starting out, and the hands are a little bit more narrow to begin with, that's okay. Eventually, over time, we're going to try to widen the arms in the back and really challenge that organization. Okay, and now let's do 3 together and move with it. Here we go. First breath, pull back, place the hips, roll down to the shoulder blades, arms lift, lower, reach wide to the sides, peel up, and hips take you over the legs. 2 more like this. I'm going to breathe through it. And now from here, we circle the arms out to a T, flip the palms, press them down onto the floor. Draw the legs in and place the feet onto the floor to a ball heel. And let's just go hip distance apart to start. And now from here, let's point through the feet, extend the legs up to the ceiling, And now from here, you can either hold on to the backs of the legs or keep your arms down on the floor, wherever you are, right? Especially if you're a little bit tight through the backs of the legs, we want the kneecaps to be over the hips. So you can use the arms to hold you in this position. We're gonna have the legs together. Yeah, that's better. And simple foot articulation. Flex the feet, roll to point. And again, reach through the heel all the way out through the toes. So you're trying to lengthen the leg out of the hips and then reach up through the toes. So the hips stay stable on the floor, pubic bone in line with the sacrum. Let's do 2 more. 2 and point. Last one and point. And then just open the arms out to a T if you have them behind the backs of your legs. We're going to tap the floor. Tap, tap, lift. So toes, tap, legs extend. Down, down, up. And you may notice that the kneecaps move slightly as we do this. That's okay. Two more. 2 and up. Last one and up. Separate the feet hip distance apart. Bend the knees. Place the feet onto the floor. Toe ball heel rolling through the feet. And now we're all set up for a pelvic press or bridging. So before we begin, you can either have your hands in a T position, in a slight V, or all the way down by your side, whatever you need for your shoulder girdle organization for today. We're going to be focusing on the hips, so we're going to start with some small pelvic curls, and then we'll press up and down. Okay, and if you would like a little bit of hands-on, you're going to create a triangle with your hands, and the heel of the hand is going to come to your bony part of your hip, or your ASIS, and the tip of the triangle is going to come down to your pubic bone. So in our start and lengthened position, we want the triangle to be completely flat. So it's also parallel to the floor, right? And now from here, we're going to curl the hips up and lengthen out. From the low belly, scoop up, lower down. And we're thinking about a couple of things here. Number one is one hip leading the curl up over than the other. Same thing when you come down. I'm trying to overemphasize. Ooh, something moved. Overemphasize the rotation of my hips here. So keep the hips even from right to left as you come up and lower down. The other thing is the low belly. So are you coming up through the glutes, or can you tilt the tailbone up through the low belly so that the tip of the triangle lifts up, and it's the last to re-enter as you come down. So we're just coming to the tops of our pants toward our waistline, and then all the way down. Really feel that turn of the hips again as you come up and lengthen out. And let's do one more like this, boring as it is. And down. All right, and now from here, scoop, press up to stay, holding it here. So in our pelvic press or bridge position, we want one long line from the shoulder blades all the way out through the knees, even weight across the feet. And now we roll down through the spine. Take as many breaths as you need and come all the way down to the floor. Coming right back up, keeping the hips even from right to left as you turn. Open the front of the hips as you come up. And then we deepen the curl as we roll down through the spine, the tailbone, and is last back down. So looking at the triangle, triangle tips up, hips press up, triangle stays lifted as you roll down and lengthen out. I'm going to open my arms out to a T now. You can keep your hands wherever they are. wherever you want. And right, same thing that we do in our mat work, we also do here as part of the floor work. 2 more like this. I'm going to shut up. Last one like this. This time as you come up, we're going to come all the way up to stay holding it here. Let's pulse the hips up. Reach the hips high to the sky. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding it here. Let's lift the heels up, lower down. Oops, my heels are a little far. I'm going to bring them in. Sorry. And again, heels lift, hips press. So if you notice, as you lower the heels down, there's a slight crease in the hips. Press the hips up a little higher, right? So you're fighting for that diagonal line. 2 more. And last one. And let's roll down and lengthen all the way out. A lot of work. Ooh, good. And let's draw the legs in together, hug them in. We're going to stir them around the pot, go one direction. Easy breaths here, and then reverse. Ooh, something moved again. You know, we charge extra for chiropractic. And circling the legs independently. We can start with the outside. Right, circling outward. And then reverse the circle, circle in. And now from here, open out to that kind of baby straddle, I guess, sometimes what they refer this to. Then you can place your hands to your inner thighs, stretch the legs out long, oh, wide to the side. Oh boy, my hips needed this. And now, simple foot articulation. Flex the feet and point. As you flex, reach out of the hip, wide to the sides of the room to point. Flex and point. So you're trying to stretch the inner line of the legs for 3 and 2. 1 more like this. Point. And now from here, curl the upper body to that same position that we found earlier, tips of the shoulder blades. And now in this position, we're going to try to rock and roll up to a seated position. I cheated. I used my legs. You can see that I use a little bit of momentum. We're up. It doesn't matter. Moving on. Okay. So now from here, excuse me, I'm so sorry. And we're going to place the feet onto the floor, hip distance apart. Hands are going to cup the kneecaps. Really use the hands to help lift the spine up. We're going to take an inhale up at the top, exhale back. Try to maintain the length through the spine as you come up and pull back. Let's do 3 more like this. 3, right, kind of similar to our spine corrector work if you saw that video. 2, right, so we're not doing this. Last one, we haven't lost any inches as we go back there. And come all the way up, extend the legs out long. And now let's add a ball and a leg to this. So we curl back, right, similar position. Only the feet are off the floor pointed. And now from here, we're going to shoot the legs out wide to the side, hips pressed down to the floor. Oops, I should be here. In our straddle position. And then we close the legs all the way together. Can you see both of my legs? I'm going to turn 3/4 now so you can see me. All right, so from here, pull back, open out, sit up tall, close the legs in. I still feel like you're missing part of my foot as I'm looking at my screen. Do I have to go wider? Can you see me? I can't see me. It's also bright in my room. Okay, I'm gonna back up. We need more space. Here we go. This is why we need somewhere nice, big, and spacious, right? You can't really do this on your mats, right? Wherever you are, you'd have to turn to face it and then it gets stuck. No bueno. And back, open out. And let's just do one more like this. Try to open up the hips. And now just find your straddle to stay holding it here. So again, this is not a dancer straddle. It's not a flat line all the way out, wide to the sides of the room, right? We're evenly weighted on top of the sits bones from right to left, depending on your range of motion, right? You may be a little further. I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna open my legs out a little bit more, but I'm gonna turn. And we want two parallel lines with the legs. I'm gonna turn now. So, I want the kneecaps and the center of the ankles to be shining up to the ceiling. And then from here, we circle the arms up and place them behind you. So in this position with the arms, use the arms to help lift the spine up out of our floor. Guess what? We don't get to sink down ever, ever, ever. And I'm gonna get a little wider. Ooh, I can feel that stretch in my legs. Here we go. And now I'm gonna bend one knee and reach. Other side, lift, oh my gosh, point. So think of folding the knee up, right? It's gonna happen in the hip as well. So maintain the lift up, out of the floor. Say hi to your knee. Hi, knee. Little joke, maybe you got it. And the heel doesn't slide, as you can see here. It stays in that same position the entire time. And if you want to challenge it, you can open the arms out to a T. And one more. You can see I'm barely moving here. It's hard. And let's do two. Both of them together, all the way out long, maintaining that lift up out of the floor for 4. Not the most comfortable, I know. Last one. And then flip the palms up and the elbows find that same scoop position. And now, something you see a lot, especially from the 80s, we're gonna side bend over and come up the center. Maintain even weight across the hips as you go over and up. So especially for my dancers and my hypermobile people, don't collapse down into that underneath side in order to get a stretch here, right? Oh, I can feel that my opposite hip has lifted as a result. Right. Work the spine. Maintain the organization of the hips. And up. Let's do one more on each side. And up. Last one. And up. Flip the palms, press them down. Close the legs all the way in. And we'll come back to our diamond position. Circle the arms up and around and place them onto your knees again. And now, similar but different than what we did earlier, we're going to find a hip perch. So from here, lift one hip up, lower down. And again, we're not rocking and tipping off to the side. Otherwise, we're going to get seasick doing this, right? We want to find a vertical lift. And let's do one more on each side, then I'm just going to talk about it. Last one like this. Lower down. Excuse me again, I apologize. And now, we're going to come up to our perch to stay, holding it here. So, you have one hip that's grounded down into the floor. You're trying to maintain a vertical spine up, even though we've lifted one hip up. And then look at that foot. You want to be able to have that foot down flat on your floor. It's not on top of your foot, ow, pressing down and crunching your poor underneath side, right? So that foot and that foot gets to press down so that we can lift up in this position, right? Shoulders over the rib cage. So we're not here, we're here. And again, if you want to challenge this organization, arms stretch out to a T. And then we re-ground the hips, keeping the lift through center. Yeah, so we call that a hip perch position, and we're going to be in kind of this position in a few other places. The floor work is the first place it's going to turn up in, and then it translates onto some of the other pieces of equipment like the reformer, the spine corrector, and the Cadillac. Okay, so let's have some fun. And find a hip perch. Sweep all the way around, holding it here. So that arm behind me is just using it to help lift the spine up. And we want to go all the way around. Nice deep twist of the spine. And now we come up through center. Find that scoop position that I had us do earlier. This is why you need it. And we lower back down through center. Other side, hip perch, sweep around. Challenge the balance if you want. To center. Lower down. And now I'll show a previous progression that we can do into this. So you place the hand down, right? If you want, you can come back to this position and resist. So I'll show it like this. So your hands are active here and helping you place into those positions. Otherwise, you're trying to challenge the organization of the hips. And now, since this is so much fun, let's do one more on each side. All right, lower the hands down to a low V. And now from here, we're gonna lift the chest up, circle the arms around to the back, come all the way up to center. And now we're extending the spine. Lift the chest up out of the waist. Fingertips touch and come up to center. So this is hard even for me. If I make it look easy, thank you, thank you, thank you. And 3 more. 3. I'm seeing spots. 2. Last one like this. And then this one we're going to circle the arms. Come all the way around. Place the hands onto the ankles and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rolling all the way up to center. And let's take a deep breath in. Lengthen up. And again, deep breath in. And out. 1 more. And we're all done. Wasn't that fun? Did you enjoy it? I hope you did. I know I do, every single time. I love teaching it. I love doing it. We didn't get through a good chunk of stuff today, but there's some really nice stuff that we can do here in the floor work that really just helps find that pelvic organization as well as challenge range of motion here. So we get really fancy dancy and fun with it. And we change our fronts. We go all the way around. We add spirals into it, right? One of the only and very few times where we're able to get a spiral, like a complete spiral of the spine all the way around. Usually it's just a rotation somewhere, whether it's the hips or the shoulders, you know, the low back versus the thoracic, right? But a really big, nice full twist all the way around. So again, I hope you enjoyed this segment. It's something that's a lot of fun. And I hope to see you again next time. Take good care. Bye.